wait for it to go. All right, we are good.
All right, so we're recording?
We're recording. We are good.
Okay. In the theology of the family is based on the creation and fall of the atonement and the creation of the earth, provided a place where families could live. Why did God create a man and a woman, and why is it so important that a male and a female get together instead of same sex or same gender people?
Sorry, really quick. Do we want to go around and introduce ourselves? I think we were supposed to do that at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'm Vicki Zimbrana, and I'm in Lake Elsinore, California, and I'm the oldest of the group. I'm the grandma, without being a grandma.
I'm Justine. I'm probably the second oldest. I'm 37, so right now I live in Oklahoma. So I just moved from Utah this summer. Husband's active duty Air Force, and I have 4 children. So oldest is 17, youngest is 11. So 3 girls and 1 boy.
Awesome.
I'll go. I'm Malia. I live in Orem, Utah, so I'm here in Mountain Time. And I work full-time, and I'm in school full-time, and I'm married. My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years, so it's just the 2 of us.
And I'm Laura, and I live in Southern California. I've been married for a little over 11 years, and I have a 4-month-old baby boy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He's really fun, but he's really loud, so you'll probably hear him.
Well, I've got 5 dogs sitting next to me, so if I can get quiet, we'll be good.
I'm Camille. I'm from Rigby, Idaho, and I'm here in Rexford right now. I've been married for almost 9 months, and Ceci, we're both in school full time and have about a year left. So just ready for what life brings after college. So it's gonna be great.
That's awesome. Well, I only have 2 children. They're both in their 40s, and they're not married, and they still live with mom and dad, and they both work very strong in the church. They go to single wards, but there really isn't much action here in Southern California, so we'll see what happens. But that's my life. Oh, and I've been married for 46 years, so been there, done that. Okay, now, am I incorrect about the fact that we're not supposed to be teaching from this Julie Beck thing?
No, I think, yeah, and then there's group activity questions we have to answer too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just the Julie Beck audio, the thing.
Well,
That's what I get.
We're supposed to read that beforehand.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to do a group activity that's listed on the defining family instructions. And it lists like 7 different things. It says take the various definitions and order them in number from the definition you most agree with and the one you least agree with, and we're supposed to discuss that.
Okay, so I prepared for the wrong thing. I'm a bad girl.
That's okay. I was super confused of what we needed to prepare to, so don't worry about it.
Okay, well, I'm supposed to be the leader, and yet I'm not prepared, and I thought I was. So,
well, I think where your questions are, Vicki, you have most of them.
Okay.
There's a lot of these questions that are repeated.
Yeah.
So from that, so for what you've got prepared, use that for your journal, for sure.
Okay. Then do I ask the question like, what is the theology of the family? Is that what we're trying to do here?
That one wasn't one of the questions. One of them was
threats to the family.
How well do you think the average young adult understands the doctrine of the family?
Okay.
Yeah, it starts underneath group activity.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's under President Eyring's address to the Vatican.
okay. I don't have that screen up because I just did Google. I mean Chrome. So my let me see if I can get it. Okay. Well, why do you think our youth aren't getting married?
What was your question?
Why do you think the youth are marrying later or not marrying at all?
Well, in Sister Beck's article, one thing that she mentioned is that their focus isn't on marriage, but on education or maybe work or something like that. And so I think that's why one of the questions is, how well do you think the average young adult understands the doctrine of the family? Because maybe they don't. And so it's not like a priority for them, for anybody that doesn't get married young.
Yeah, I agree. I know that, especially not in the church. My friends, coworkers and stuff in the past, they've always just, for the most part, if they're not in the church, they just cohabit with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they don't understand the doctrine of the family. They just think if you feel like getting married, then do it, but if not, why get married?
I think it also depends on what career they're going into. Like, for example, my son would like to go to the Air Force Academy. You can't be married. So until you graduate, he can go be part of a ROTC program through college and be married and have kids. That's what my husband did. But so it also depends on what job that they're doing or where they're going to school. Yeah, so that's where the education would get.
I feel like a lot of times these days at least what I'm seeing in the younger generations is that they might know and like think they understand, but they don't know it well enough to be able to articulate. So when we talk about like defending the family and everything, they don't, because they don't know it well enough to be able to explain it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, where did you say? I'm on that. I think another thing too is that they're so focused into getting a career and making money before they decide to find time gets away from them, and they don't realize that all of a sudden I'm a certain age and I'm not married yet, and yet people are hounding me and there's nobody to choose from because all the good people are already. So that's what I think about that.
Yeah. Well,
where is Doctrine of the Family is what you were talking about, where the guidelines were?
Yeah, defending the family instructions. The Eyring's clip where he talked to the Vatican. I thought some of the answers that she got from the youth when she spoke to them interesting, and I felt like you know as we're teaching our youth, we're telling them you need to be the best person you can be. It's a selfish mode. So, but yet once they finish high school, they become 18. It's like all these doors are open, and they don't know what to do with it. It's just it's changing. I think they don't know that they're supposed to be preparing or that they're going to be accountable to somebody else, because through their whole life they're taught to only be accountable for yourself. And then you're put in this situation where you have to be accountable for other people, and they have no idea.
I agree.
I thought that was super interesting too, because as I was reading through those responses, I was like, oh yeah, those are all pretty good responses. I mean, the church, and we need to know what we're doing. But when she said we're focusing more on ourselves and we're being more selfish, so I thought it was a really cool part of her.
I think too that the media has a lot to do with that, because they use their phones for texting. There is no face-to-face communication anymore. It's with the fingers on the phone, And I think they just don't know how to associate with people face to face, you know, talk that way. They seem more free to go on and text somebody or send an email without, you know, actually facing the person to talk to them, to see how they act or what they look like or what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm still looking for the questions. Shoot, I really am letting you guys down tonight. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. Where it says the doctrine of the family, the very next thing listed, it says LO2 defining family instructions. If you click on that and scroll down to the bottom, that's where the questions are listed for this meeting.
Okay. Ever-changing definitions. Doctrine of the family, family instructions.
So
Yep.
family instructions, if you click on that at the, and scroll to the bottom, that's where it says group activity and has all the questions listed.
I loved listening to President Eyring and his encounter with his wife. First saw her. I love, even when President Uchtdorf talked about it at Women's Conference last year and first meeting his wife, Harriet, I love hearing those because it just makes them just more personal. So that they're human too. They've gone through the same thing we have. So it just makes me just appreciate them more.
And they get so emotional when they talk about it. So you know that it means something to them, obviously, but it's really special.
Yes.
Did you guys have a hard time putting those definitions in a certain order?
Yeah.
Yes.
I felt like the first one was the only one that I really felt was
I liked the
obvious
second
for
one.
me.
The second one was just a little bit more human to me. So the first one, like the second and the first one were good, but all the rest of them just like, from here.
I put the order I put them in. I put number one. I left as number one, and then a fundamental social group in society, typically consisting of one or two parents and their children. And then after that, number two, I put as number four, a group of persons sharing common ancestry. And number five, I put, I changed that to number three, or a lineage, especially distinguished lineage. And then I changed number three to number four, and number two to number five, and number 7 to 6, and 6 to 7, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah. What did everybody else have as their number ones?
I think I left, let me pull it up. I left number one as number one. I left number two as number two. And then I had number three was a group of persons sharing common ancestry. Number four I had as all the members of a household under one roof. Number five was lineage. Number six I left as 6, and number 7 I left as 7. It was hard because I felt like they were kind of in a good order, but I didn't, kind of like what you said, like once you get past number 2, the rest of them I don't really care what order they're in.
Well, it took me 3 times to get that, and so I finally got 100% on the quiz, but it took me 3 times. Okay. What was challenging about this activity? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I think we all kind of talked about it in our posts this week. It was just kind of thrown in. It's like, here you go, very hot topic. And it set me on edge. I mean, to the point where I actually had to take a break and go talk to my husband. So it was just so disturbing to me, and I was just like, I've got to go talk to somebody about this. This is killing me.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. I kind of was just really depressed after the first, the videos, and that like debate between all the ladies. Like that was kind of
Well, I don't care for
really,
the view, period.
no, that was like brought a lot of anxiety to me. So and then I was really grateful that at the end of the lesson, it brings in the spiritual things and the doctrine, and it kind of ties it all together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't realize we were going to jump right into that right away. And it was kind of a shocker.
Yeah, it was. I don't watch those type of shows anyway, and they just think that what they think is correct. There is no doctrinal learning with some of these. They've never read the Bible, let alone the Book of Mormon. They don't understand the concept of family, period. And being a convert, I can see that because I didn't have a concept of the family. I knew you were supposed to get married and have children, period. But I didn't realize that the family was ordained of God and that this was an eternal progression for us. And now that I know this, I feel very strong about letting everybody else know that the family is part of God's plan and it's supposed to be between a man and a woman because we were made for each other. We're like two puzzle pieces that fit together. So that's my thought.
Can you take this?
Thanks for sharing. I always enjoy listening to somebody's perspective from being a convert. And I guess I'm not that shocked because of the work environments and places that I've worked. I mean, it doesn't seem anything worse than what I've been exposed to in the work environment. And not that I'm desensitized to it or anything like that. I just realized that people, especially if they're not part of any religion for the most part, they just tend to think that, this life is this life, you only live once, and just enjoy it and live it how you see fit and leave it at that. But I know that a lot of those things that they were saying, I feel so passionately about myself, that the family is so essential to God's plan. And even though people are distracted and think the family means different things, I feel like those are just distractions that Satan uses for people to argue about and waste all their time on earth to debate. Is this crossing the line? Is that crossing the line? What does it mean to be moral? All these different things that it's really sad.
I watched the View video with my husband next to me, and we were both getting very frustrated with their discussion that they had, just because I didn't really feel like it was, at least to us, it didn't feel like it was very backed with hard fact. It was their opinion, which is what the TV show is all about. But it was just really hard to listen to when they were giving out opinion without having anything to back it up. And so we both had to take a break and just kind of sit and kind of discuss what we were thinking in our own, like, okay, this is what we know and this is what we've researched before, and this is how we feel about this topic. And then we calm down and then we listen to the spiritual side, and it helped at least us be able to our own feelings, know what's true and remember what's true instead of getting caught up in all the frustration and distraction. So.
So true. So true.
Okay, you guys ready for the next one? What doctrine or principle, if understood, would motivate a Latter-day Saint to advocate for the family?
That I've learned in some religion classes that I've taken is that gender is eternal. We had it in the pre-mortal life, we have it now, and we'll have it in the pre-existence. So I think that understanding will help us come out and be more vocal not against, but just about our beliefs in terms of the LGBT, whatever the letters are, society. Just let them know that this is what we believe. We know that gender is a part of our life forever. And to me, that means that God doesn't make a mistake. You weren't put in the wrong body when you were born. You were put in that body for a reason. You were put with that gender because you were that gender before. So that's one thing that I feel like we need to understand better, is that gender is a part of our eternal existence.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
My daughter actually had a conversation with some of her friends about this today, and it was interesting to hear the 13-year-old, of course they're 8th grade, of what they think is going on. And her friend, I think, that she was talking to was Baptist, and then she had another one that's an atheist. So it was just interesting just to listen, not necessarily to correct her, but just to see her thought process of how she talks to her. But it's important that they know that no matter chose, that they're still loved and appreciated by the Lord. I think it's hard. I think for me is these people have made a genuine choice. Whether or not I have to accept their choice is up to me. So that's the hard part that I have, is I have all these people that say, well, because you don't support them, then you don't support me. And I said, no, I support you. I don't support the behavior. There's a difference.
Right. There's a big difference. Yes.
Big difference.
Big
difference.
That's what we try. I work with some kids that have emotional problems, and I have they're educationally deficient. You work with them, and they act up, and you don't yell at them. You try to give them a positive thing, but they don't realize that the reason they're doing this is because they need attention, that they know that there's something wrong with them, so they act out. And so when we go and try to correct them, I try to do it in such a way that it's positive by telling them, I like you a lot, and I appreciate you being here. Your career's got to change. I know you can do better, that type of thing. It's just that they don't know quite how to act, even though they're almost 18. And I think, and a lot of these kids want to experiment too, because they see it going on and it makes it look okay on the TV to go run around half naked, and especially some of those girls at school, and to talk about trying out the other type of life. Just because I think it's something like the drugs, they want to try it, or alcohol, which I never did. But other people have that tendency to want to try something different. And in a lower socioeconomic school like I'm working at now, these kids don't know anything else because that's what their parents did. And so we've got to advocate for these kids so they may have an understanding of what we believe in as far as and our behavior. Because they asked me if I drink wine or anything like that. I says, no. She says, have you ever taken Xanax? I said, no. She says, you don't even drink a little wine or champagne? I said, no. So they don't know any better. And so we have to teach them so that they'll know that these type of behaviors aren't necessarily something that they have to accept themselves. They can make up their own mind.
One of the things that I loved about Sister Beck's talk was the breakdown that she had with the creation, the fall, and the atonement. I loved so with the question, what doctrine or principle, if understood, would motivate a Latter-day Saint to advocate for the family? I think the atonement was the one that kind of hit me the hardest, because I felt like, because it says the atonement allows for the family to be sealed together eternally. For me, that means that there's some accountability. So what I do will affect my family. So I have to work together as a family so that my family can be together. And that just kind of hit me, because that's something that I think I've seen some of my family members struggle with when they're first newlywed, is because they have all this freedom as an individual, and then they go to a married couple and they realize they don't, or that they have to be accountable to this person. So, and that's part of the covenants that you make when you're in the temple. A hard concept for some of them to understand. And that would make me want to be I want to be together with my family.
I think if we really understood that we lived with Heavenly Father in the spirit world before we came down here to this earth, and really grasp that concept that that's where we're going to return after we die, and it's only going to be in a family unit, that they would advocate for the family, because that's the whole purpose of us being on this earth, is to gain our body and return back to Heavenly Father again as an eternal family unit.
Yes, that's something that this lesson has really taught me. I mean, I've been in the church since 1979, but some of the concepts hadn't, gone blammo, hit me in the head, and because I was busy raising my kids, doing scouting and other things. But this has really touched me, and I understand my goal here.
That was the same doctrine or principle that I had chosen for that answer. And sometimes I just look at families that aren't in the church or don't have the knowledge that we have about eternal families and being together forever. And they seem like really happy families, but I just wanted, I don't know, just tell them that there's a way that they can be together forever. And they're, I just don't know how anybody would not want that. And so that's I don't know, that's just something that's so important to me, to have a forever family. And I just feel like anybody who has loved ones, nobody wants to leave their loved ones and not be with them forever. I don't know, maybe they do, but I don't think they do. And I know that I don't want to. And so that's the one that I just feel like, because the atonement allows us to live with our Heavenly Father again, we can't live with him again without the atonement. And we can't be with our families, or we can't not be with our families in the celestial kingdom. And so I just feel like that's such an important principle. And if more people understood that, yeah, I think the family would definitely be more advocated for, I guess.
Especially if they listen to the vows in a civil ceremony, and says, "Till death do you part." A lot of them think, "Oh yeah, well, we'll still be together up in heaven." And then I feel so bad inside when these people who truly love each other and they lose their spouse, and they were married civilly and don't have the gospel in their lives, that they're both going to be in spirit prison. They won't be together. And I feel so sad. And even though they're not part of my family, that means that I can't help them. It's got to be their family to help them. So there's some way I have to, or others have to, be able to tell these people how to have an eternal family through the proxy of the temple. But yeah, because we've had a couple of deaths at the school this year already, and I'm feeling kind of down about that because they weren't married in the temple.
Well, thankfully, we do have temples where we can still do proxy for the dead. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you say, Malia, about you think everyone wants to be together forever. When I was teaching sharing time in primary one time, I was taught the same exact thing. And when I was telling all the kids, you can be with your family forever, and one of the little boys, his eyes got really big, and he's like, "Forever? That's way too long."
I'm gonna catch me.
That's so cute.
One day he will want to be with his family forever.
My sister too? Sister?
The mind of a little child.
I love it.
I think we skipped
No,
a
I
question. The one that,
we
why
did,
do you
but-
think it's important that we study the doctrine of the family at the beginning of the semester as opposed to the end? Did I miss that?
Haven't gotten to it yet. It's a good one to end with.
Yeah, well, we're almost at the end of our discussion anyway. So
Yeah,
have
we
one or
we
all
are
group
just at our
members.
timer, so we've got about 10 minutes left in our discussion.
So we can make a summary of the statement of what we discussed. A consensus of the questions.
So do you want me to just go through all of the questions and just kind of summarize one? Is that how you want me to do it, or?
Sure. That's okay with me if it's all right with the other. I'm not the boss here.
Yeah. Nobody's the boss. Oh,
Nobody's
sorry.
the boss of me. You're not the boss of me. You're not my
We're all
mommy.
trying to figure this out together.
It's a consensus, not a competition.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to just start, like,
Question.
what was challenging about this
Challenge about the
activity?
activity. Just listening to people talk about their own opinions,
Okay.
non-gospel
basically,
opinions.
and just being thrown right into it. It was a big shock for pretty much all of us. How well do we think the average adult understands the doctrine of the family? We mostly talked about how actions in the world today that are making it so marriage and family are not the priority, like work and school. That we're more it's a more selfish generation, and we're more focused on us. So the marriage situation, we don't know what to do when we have to help other people and be focused on them as well.
And why do you think it's important that we study the doctrine of the family at the beginning instead of the end? Because that's that's foremost of what this is about. It's about family. So
Yeah, without that as your foundation, then it doesn't matter, like, if you're for or against abortion and all these different things. If you don't have the foundation of the family, like, everything rests on that.
Exactly.
Definitely. And then what doctrine and principles, if understood, would motivate a Latter-day Saint to advocate for the family? Census was eternal families, and just being able to be would help us advocate that out, because who wouldn't want that? It's such a wonderful blessing.
And the atonement.
For sure. And I think that's a rough summary of what we've talked about.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And post your link to the recorded session in the lesson 02 defining family discussion forum.
Yep. Let me stop the broadcast here.